I remember I wanted to ask this before. When you draw over your line art, how much do you try to stick to what's below and how to make it look natural, like not jarring? You try to trace something, but the results looked off.
Liska, make you
Here's a good example. David there. Okay. Need to remember what the question was.
Sir, are you okay?
I remember I wanted to ask this before. When you draw over your line art, how much do you try to stick to what's below and how to make it look natural? Like not jarring, try to trace something, but the results look good.
Great success.
Or can say, okay, wait, this current image, let's duplicate it so that you can see it nicely.
Please.
Is made up of, let's duplicate it one more time. Let's restart and another just 4. It's made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different images. As you can see, it doesn't look great. And there's some overlapping. Those don't match up, but those are 2 arms. So it's good to just sometimes go, you know, this arm's gonna be there, and then you kind of try to flatten it or make it look like one thing instead of doing this, because that won't look right. So what I'd suggest is, and this is kind of where your memory has to play a big part, is that you kind of need to remember what an arm looks like. It's just one solid piece. And then, oh fuck, okay.
Maybe it's
I suppose I don't really have good advice for that, I'll be honest. I think most times you kind of just, you know, go with what feels right. Or from memory about what that object looks like instead of what you're seeing, because like what you're seeing can be deceiving, but what's actually going on or what feels right is different. I saw a YouTube video on this where someone was like, if you're drawing something and it feels right, that means it is right. It doesn't necessarily mean because what you see is what it is. You as an artist have, you know, the freedom to make things look right. If that makes sense, Void. Like, this was 2 different arms split there, but you would never tell because of the way I drew it. So, you know, if it feels right, then it is right. these two different bodies. See, the one body comes here, the other one comes here. Which one to go for? Go for the one that feels good. You know, his arm is lifted, so it would be stretched out more. Here his arm is lowered, so, you know, we'll take the thicker route. And then, oh shit, no. So then I trace over everything until I have a base, and then I trace over it again. I never just trace once. So this might look like I'm just tracing once, but it has multiple layers. So, you know, an armor layer, I say armature layer, to map out where it goes. For instance, there. And you know, then I add like feathery bits, or how can I show you? You know, so now we're drawing something fluffy. So over the next layer, instead of just keeping it smooth, you know, I add a fur texture. And you know, where it turns like there, you will have more fur texture stacked on top of each other. If you are maybe tracing over, trace will help you. Yes, so you trace and then you trace again. And honestly, like, this art piece, delete that, has 3 tracing layers before I even did the line art, which is there. So you kind of just need to play around. But like I said, so if I continued here, like, you know, this already looks kind of like fur, so it feels okay. So, you know, here we'll do this to get that fur texture. Not the greatest, so redo it. Here it bunches up a bit. This should also maybe be fur textured, you know, just to keep implying it, even though it's shading lines, though that won't because it's too small. You could even actually, if you really wanted to. You know, and follow the direction the body's going in. If you really wanted to, the nipple would be there, but we don't add nipples on personas. That's just weird.
Oh my god, what is that?
And so I also won't add fur. I won't add fur to the fingers because that would disproportion them. Put that there for my knuckles. But I would put, you know, on the outskirts of the hand to show the blending of the fur into non-fur. And so that's your second layer of tracing. And then I'll do a third layer. You know, you kind of just need to continuously refine it and make it one piece. So now I'll, like, you know, if there's something, because this is now the final layer of tracing, if there's something I don't agree with that I've done myself, I will change it. So maybe this pectoral muscle could go down lower. could have more fur here. Even here. Maybe let's try fur there. You see, I'm not necessarily following exactly what I did. Sometimes I choose to change it. So here I might do that. Just because I feel like I can create something that looks a bit better. Has more detail. Or shows the bunching up a bit better. Maybe that's a bit too much. So what I did there is alright. Doesn't show the bunching up that much, so I'll accentuate that. Or exaggerate it.
I can't do this.
Well, Hoyt asked, like, you know, how do I trace over things with it and also make it look natural?
Like it.
So I'm kind of just explaining that, you know, I might just change it as I go, because sometimes I do too much or sometimes I do too little, and if it feels right, then it is right. If it doesn't feel right, then change it. See, like, they ask, like, how do I trace without it looking jarring? So here I accidentally drew the finger too high up and it looks weird, and so I'll do that.
Okay, that was such a bit.
And see, I'll also add these lines in. And so actually those aren't even the same tracing anymore. Let me just up the opacity. And so yeah, these aren't even, basically aren't even the same art anymore, you could say. Like, this is low up then, and yeah, I lowered it a bit more. Here I added the fur texture because it felt right. There it doesn't have it. Accentuating the elbow to show the elbow instead of having it just a little bump. There, more fur than there, which rounds it off a bit more. So yeah, you kind of just need to go with what feels right. You're making a lot of noise there.
I'm cleaning the kitchen.
I love you. Sorry.
You wouldn't listen to me.
Oh man.